December had arrived, a month of festive cheer and biting cold. The streets sparkled with Christmas paroles strung between lampposts, their vibrant colors reflecting in frosted windows. Snow dusted the sidewalks, crunching softly beneath hurried footsteps. Aya pulled her scarf tighter as she approached the billiard hall, the warmth of its glowing lights drawing her in. "It's that time of year again," she murmured, smiling as she noticed the festive decorations inside. Thoughts of transforming her own home filled her mind. "I'll break my record this year. Best holiday decorations ever." She chuckled at her own ambition. Inside, familiar faces greeted her warmly, and Aya waved back. Before she could head to her usual spot, a cheerful waitress intercepted her. "Hey, Aya, want to join this? Bet you can win it," the waitress said, holding up a clipboard. Aya barely glanced at the form, assuming it was just another holiday activity. "Sure, why not?" she said with a laugh, scribbling her name. "Glad you know me." The waitress beamed and headed to the counter, where Kinta, the owner, stood reviewing the list of participants. As his eyes scanned the names, he paused, his brow furrowing. "Aya, did she actually sign up on her own?" "Yep." She even joked, "Glad you know me," the waitress replied. Kinta leaned back, crossing his arms. "You're kidding. Aya's always refused competitions. She said it was a promise she made when she was young." "Huh, this is fascinating." "Should I check with her?" the waitress asked. "No, let her be. But bring me her usual, poutine and a cosmopolitan." "I'll take it to her myself," Kinta said, handing back the clipboard. Moments later, Kinta stood near Aya's table, watching her casually prepare her cue stick. He couldn't help but smile. Whatever had prompted her to join, this Christmas was shaping up to be one to remember. "Order coming up for one of our regulars. I even added something new from our menu, squid calamari with tartar sauce," Kinta said, balancing a tray as he placed the food on Aya's table. "Wow, thank you, master," Aya replied cheerfully, her eyes lighting up. "You're the type of person who never backs down once you set your mind to something, aren't you?" Kinta said with a knowing smile. "What's your plan for your house decorations this year? I bet you're trying to break your record again." Aya grinned, leaning forward eagerly. "Of course. I'm already brainstorming. I'm thinking huge boxes in different shades of red and green. Maybe some gold accents too. It's going to be amazing." "Glad to hear it," Kinta smirked. "So, you signed up for that event, huh?" "Oh, absolutely. The spirit of Christmas is alive in me. I never back down," Aya said, puffing out her chest confidently. Kinta's eyes narrowed slightly as he took in her enthusiasm, his smirk widening. "I'll hold you to that. There's a monetary entrance fee, by the way. $500 should cover it." "Oh, there's a fee?" She must have forgotten to mention that, Aya said, shrugging. "No problem, though. Here you go." She grabbed her wallet and handed over her card without hesitation. "Thank you," Kinta said smoothly, taking the card and heading to the counter. "By the way, master," Aya called after him, her tone teasing. "What's the raffle price? It must be something huge with a fee that high." Kinta paused mid-step, glancing over his shoulder. "Raffle? Huh," he said, his voice casual but laced with amusement. "I see. Raffle," he chuckled softly, then turned back to the waitress who had approached with the card machine. Swiping Aya's card, he finalized the transaction before returning to her table. As he handed the card back, Kinta leaned in close, a playful glint in his eyes. "You didn't read the details, did you?" he asked with a smirk. Aya tilted her head, confused. "Oh, no. I just signed up. What else would it be?" Kinta's grin widened as he leaned closer and whispered, "It's a 9-ball open challenge." Aya froze, her confident expression dissolving as realization dawned. Her mind raced. A 9-ball challenge? Not a raffle? What have I done? Kinta straightened, chuckling as he walked away. "You said you don't back down, right?" he called over his shoulder, his grin practically glowing with mischief. Aya sat motionless, staring at her plate as the truth sank in. Finally, she muttered under her breath, "Oh damn." While still frozen in disbelief, Aya overheard one of the regulars laughing loudly with his friends. "I'm going to be the champion," the man boasted, his voice slurred with confidence. "No mercy, not even for the ladies. If they're lucky, maybe they can have a night with me after." His crude laughter echoed across the hall. "Shoo, cut it out," one of his friends hissed, glancing nervously around. "You're drunk. Don't start trouble." Aya's irritation flared as she eyed the man, her fingers tightening around her cue stick. What a jerk, she thought. This guy thinks he's king here just because he's beaten a few players? She watched him wink at her, his cocky grin only fueling her resolve. Fine, I'll give him a reason to think twice. From behind the counter, Kenta observed the interaction and smirked. "This is going to be interesting," he murmured, already imagining the bracket. "Let's hope they meet in the finals." Aya turned back to her table, her irritation channeled into action. Her playful demeanor faded, replaced by sharp focus as she lined up her first shot. The cue struck the ball cleanly, sending it rolling into the pocket. One after another, she sank the balls with precision, resetting the table each time without a second glance. The crisp clack of the balls filled the air, drawing attention from nearby players. One by one, heads turned to watch her work, the murmurs growing louder. By the time the balls were scattered across the felt for the third reset, a small crowd had gathered, their applause breaking through the quiet hum of the hall. Even the boastful regular couldn't help but glance her way, his laughter silenced as he watched her dominate the table. Kenta strolled over to the man, his expression amused. "Good luck facing her," he said, his tone light but pointed. "You said you didn't care about being a gentleman, right? Don't let that be your excuse when she beats you." The man gulped, his bravado dimming as he turned back to his table, his focus suddenly sharper. Aya, unaware of the crowd or Kenta's words, continued her practice, her cue slicing through the air like an extension of her will. In her mind, there was only the table, the balls, and her unwavering determination to prove herself. That evening, Aya was curled up on the sofa in their entertainment room, a movie playing in the background, when she heard the front door open. She turned to see her mother walk in, her presence filling the space with warmth. "Mom," Aya greeted with a smile. Sakura looked at her daughter with a mischievous glint in her eye. "What happened? Did you cook dinner? Or, wait, are you giving me my grandchild already?" she teased with a smirk. "Wait, what? A grandchild? Mom, I don't even have anyone in my life right now." Aya stammered, flustered. "And, oh no, I forgot to cook dinner. But that's not the point. I need to talk to you." Sakura chuckled, clearly enjoying Aya's reaction. All right. What is it? What did you do now?" "I accidentally signed up for a competition. It's a 9-ball open," Aya admitted, her voice soft with guilt. Sakura's teasing expression softened. She studied her daughter, noting the way Aya fidgeted and avoided her gaze. Deep down, Sakura understood the weight Aya carried, a promise from the past that she couldn't seem to let go of. Maybe I've pressured her too much, Sakura thought. She deserves to live for herself too. "You might have accidentally signed up," Sakura said gently, "but it seems like you don't really want to back out, do you?" Aya looked down, holding her hands nervously. Before she could respond, Sakura wrapped her arms around her. The sudden hug took Aya by surprise, but the warmth and comfort of her mother's embrace washed over her, dissolving the guilt she had been holding on to. "Thanks, Mom. I really appreciate it," Aya murmured, closing her eyes as she leaned into the hug. Sakura smiled. "By the way, I want to watch you play. When's the competition?" Aya's eyes snapped open. Panic flashed across her face as she realized something. "I don't know. I didn't even ask when it is." Sakura pulled back slightly, her embrace tightening just enough for Aya to notice. Her playful smirk returned. "Aya," she said, her tone shifting as her strength increased. "Wait, Mom. Peace. Christmas season." Aya yelped, squirming in her mother's grip. "I told you. It was an accident." Sakura laughed as she finally released Aya, shaking her head. "You better ask Kinta about it tomorrow. Otherwise, I'll call him myself." The day of the tournament arrived, and Aya's morning was filled with nerves and preparations. Standing before her wardrobe, she ran her fingers over the outfit she had chosen. A crisp white blouse paired with sleek black slacks, her go-to look from competitions past. She slipped into the ensemble, smoothing the fabric as she muttered to herself. "All right, comfortable and stylish. Clothes, check. Cue stick, check. Heart, not checked. I'm nervous." Aya groaned, flopping back onto her bed. She grabbed the banana pillow lying beside her and hugged it tightly. "I'm 30 years old and still getting nervous like this. What the heck?" she muttered, then planted a dramatic kiss on the pillow. "Mr. Banana P, my loyal husband, wish me luck?" She giggled, then wrinkled her nose. "Ugh, you smell bad. Mr. Banana P, you need a bath after this. Anyway, wish me luck, my dear husband." Aya pressed another exaggerated kiss on the pillow before snapping out of her trance at the sound of a knock on her door. "Aya, I'm heading out now," Sakura called from the hallway. "I'll be there later. Need to take care of some things at the office first." "Okay, Mom. I'm almost ready. I'll stop by the salon for my hair first," Aya replied, sitting up. "All right, good luck," Sakura called back before leaving. Aya sighed, sitting on the edge of her bed as she collected her thoughts. "Good luck," she muttered. "I'm going to need more than luck later." Her lips curled into a grin. That boastful guy doesn't know what's coming. He's made himself my target. With renewed determination, Aya grabbed her cue stick and headed out to prepare for the event, her confidence growing with every step. The billiard hall had been transformed into a vibrant tournament venue, with rows of tables neatly arranged under bright overhead lights. The familiar hum of excited chatter mixed with the crisp sound of cue balls striking. Aya stepped inside, bundled tightly in a hooded jacket with her cue bag slung over her shoulder. "Ugh, I didn't expect it to start snowing this early," she muttered to herself, brushing a few stray flakes off her coat as she walked in. "Aya, is that you?" Kenna called out from behind the counter, laughing. "You're so bundled up, I almost didn't recognize you." Yeah, Aya replied, rolling her eyes. "Not exactly my cutest look, huh? Unlike those girls over there getting all the attention." Her gaze flicked toward a group of competitors, and she frowned slightly at the way a few guys were ogling them. Kenna grinned. "Go fix yourself up in the locker room. Let's see how you match up." "You'll see," Aya said with a smirk before heading off. A short while later, Aya stepped out of the locker room, her black and white competition outfit hugging her form perfectly. The cold weather had left her cheeks with a soft pink hue, which, combined with her confident smile, turned more than a few heads. She noticed some of the men nudging their friends to look her way and smirked to herself. "See? I'm still cute, even if I'm not Snow White." "You look gorgeous, Aya," one of the waitresses called out, her admiration clear. "Really?" Aya replied, slipping back into her teasing tone. Am I? She turned to Kinta with a playful smirk. Kinta just laughed, shaking his head. "Go to the players' area. You've got a tournament to win." Aya laughed along and took her spot. Not long after, her mother arrived with several directors from their company in tow. Aya straightened slightly when she saw them, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. Her mother caught her eye and waved, her warm smile easing some of the tension Aya felt. The tournament was about to begin. "Ladies and gentlemen," Kenna's voice boomed through the mic as he stood at the center of the billiard hall, drawing everyone's attention. "Welcome to our very first Open 9-Ball Challenge. And trust me, this won't be the last." The room erupted into applause as he continued. Today promises to be a wonderful day filled with games, food, and prizes. So, let's not wait any longer. Let the games begin. The audience cheered as the first match commenced. Aya wandered around the hall, her gaze scanning the crowd until it landed on her mother, who stood in a corner deep in conversation with Kinta. Aya tilted her head, studying him. Something about the way he moved seemed off. His gestures were stiff, his posture overly rigid. Aya covered her mouth with her hand, trying to suppress a giggle. Ho, ho, she murmured to herself, her eyes glinting with mischief. He's moving like a robot. Aya's smirk deepened as she walked toward them, her mind racing with playful commentary. But before she could reach them, a familiar voice stopped her in her tracks. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Ms. Aya, Sebastian said, appearing beside her unexpectedly. Aya jumped slightly. Sebastian, you scared me. And why not? She asked, her grin unfaltering. Sebastian raised an eyebrow. I'm not supposed to say much, but let's just say Kinta deserves a chance. He's trying to figure things out. Aya blinked, her curiosity piqued. Figure things out? You've got to tell me the whole story later. You know Kinta's practically an uncle to me, right? Sebastian nodded with a small smile. Good to hear. But for now, why don't you come with me? I still don't trust that mischievous look on your face. What? I can't help it if I'm amused, Aya said, grinning from ear to ear as she followed him toward their table. But as they walked, she glanced back at Kinta and her mother, a flicker of curiosity replacing her playful demeanor. What's going on with him? Aya's name was called, and she stepped up to the table, her confidence sky-high. Her grin stretched from ear to ear as she eyed her opponent. This is going to be a breeze, she thought. From across the room, Sakura watched her daughter with a knowing smirk. She's too confident. This won't end well, she remarked, her words drawing chuckles from the directors seated beside her. The lag break began, with both players striking the cue ball simultaneously. Aya's shot, though clean, fell just short by an inch. She winced, returning to her seat. Oh shoot, she muttered under her breath. Her opponent stepped up for the break, and with a sharp, calculated strike, 4 balls sank into the pockets in one fluid motion. The sound of the break reverberated through the hall, drawing murmurs of approval from the crowd. This is bad, Aya thought, her grin now replaced by a nervous grimace. Her opponent's precision was ruthless, racking up points effortlessly. Within minutes, the score read 7-0, leaving Aya scratching her head in frustration. Glancing toward her mother, she caught Sakura's raised eyebrow, a silent yet all too familiar reprimand. Eek, Aya muttered, sinking lower into her seat. She knows I got cocky. I'm so doomed. Just when all hope seemed lost, her opponent's next shot veered slightly off course, missing the pocket by a hair. Aya's eyes lit up as the opportunity presented itself. Her grin returned in full force. This is my chance. She stood up, gripping her cue stick with renewed determination. My turn, Aya said, her voice steady with confidence. Aya leaned over the table, her gaze fixed on the target ball. With a swift, clean stroke, the ball rolled smoothly into the pocket. She adjusted quickly for her next shot, moving with a practiced ease that surprised even herself. From her seat, Sakura watched intently, her lips curling into a subtle smile. Playing fast, she murmured to herself, Interesting, Aya. Let's see if you can keep it up. The crowd grew quieter, the focus shifting entirely to Aya as she lined up her next shot, the pressure mounting with each passing second. The tournament pushed on, match after match. Aya scored points, won brackets, and battled opponents who pushed her to her limits. Her grip on the cue stick tightened with each game, her muscles aching under the strain. From the sidelines, Sakura noticed her daughter's fatigue, her shoulders drooping slightly between games, but also the fire in her eyes that reminded her of the Aya she used to watch years ago. Even as exhaustion crept in, Aya refused to falter. With every shot, she rediscovered the joy and drive that had once fueled her love for the game. Time seemed to blur as the matches progressed, and soon the finals were upon her. Sakura, unable to hide her growing hope, raised her hand in silent encouragement. Aya caught the gesture and responded with a quick grin. One more game, she thought. This one's for both of us. Her opponent was exactly who she wanted to face, the cocky man who had underestimated her. As they stood at the table, Aya leaned in close, her voice low enough for only him to hear. "Big bro," she said with a smirk. "Remember when you said I'd have to sleep with you to win? Let's see how that works out for you now." The man smirked back, brushing off her words. "The offer still stands," he muttered, his arrogance intact. The lag break began, and Aya's focus was razor-sharp. The balls rolled, and her shot landed perfectly, just inches ahead of her opponent's. The crowd erupted in applause as Aya took her place at the table. Her break was clean and precise, scattering the balls across the felt. From the first shot to the last, she dominated the table with unrelenting precision, sinking each ball with calm confidence. She didn't give her opponent a single chance to recover, and with the final 9 ball sinking into the pocket, the room erupted in cheers. Aya turned to face her opponent, a smug grin on her face. Slowly, she licked her lips, mocking him as he stood frozen, his confidence shattered. She walked away, her victory complete, and headed straight for her mother. "Let's take a quasi-family picture," Aya announced, pulling her mother and Kenta to her side. The three posed together, her mother's smile glowing with pride. From his seat, Sebastian chuckled, shaking his head in amusement. "That girl's unstoppable," he thought, watching Aya soak in her hard-earned triumph. Somewhere in the greater Toronto area, Alex rested in his condo unit, the sound of snow pelting against the windows filling the quiet room. He sat near the window, absently flexing his recently operated arm, trying to ease the lingering stiffness. At the other end of the room, his friends Terrence Aoki and Geneva Choi were hunched over a laptop, engrossed in a live-streamed billiards match. "Man, this Aya Konoe," Terrence said, leaning closer to the screen. "She's got pro-level skills." "Her form's sharp," Geneva agreed, her tone thoughtful. "It reminds me of someone, kind of like Alex, but not quite. It's like she has her own style, but the same fire." Terrence laughed. "Yeah, I see it. And look, she's even got the blue glove thing going, just like him." Geneva rolled her eyes. "I'm being serious. There's something about her spirit. It feels familiar." Alex glanced up, his interest piqued. "What's her name again?" "Aya Konoe," Terrence replied with a grin. "Sounds half Japanese, right?" Alex froze, the name igniting a faint flicker of recognition. Aya Konoe, that name. He stared at his friends, his mind racing. Memories danced at the edges of his thoughts, just out of reach. Unable to sit still, Alex got up and moved toward the laptop, his heart pounding. "Can I see?" But before he could reach them, the stream ended, the screen cutting to black. "Oh man, sorry," Terrence said, glancing back at him. "The live ended." Alex stood motionless, his hand lingering on the back of the chair. Aya Konoe," he murmured, his voice barely audible. His expression shifted, the confidence he usually wore replaced by a fragile uncertainty. "That name, it's familiar. Too familiar." Geneva turned to him, her brow furrowing. Is she the friend you used to talk about?" Alex nodded slowly, a faint, wistful smile tugging at his lips. "Yeah, that was her name. But I haven't seen her face, so I don't know for sure." Terrence and Geneva exchanged a glance, their expressions softening. "I see," they said in unison, their voices quiet. Alex sank back into his seat, staring at the falling snow outside. Aya Konoe, could it really be you? Episode 3 coming soon. Thank you for listening.